Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Thomas Fans YouTube channel. Big topic of conversation, Misfits X Series 18. I was there, live. Check it out on the main Nichols YouTube channel. Made a vlog, kind of not traditional. I kind of talked over the fight. 50% of the vlog was Lewis Borden, but we'll get into that anyway. This is where we rant about my opinions and what I think should happen next. Let's start off. The start of the card, we had Big Torbs versus Cows. Now going into this, I thought Big Torbs has one fight experience 2 years ago. I thought that would play a big role because experience, and he's been in that ring. But then he's fighting Kells, who seemed a lot more bigger, a lot more naturally sportsy, and he was training with Daily Perales, who was an impeccable coach. He trained Deji to the monster he is today and trained King Kenny. Now, beginning this fight was a bit pretty even. Both men trying to find a jab and trying to find a follow-up punch. Kells seemed to have the better reach, and Big Torbs was trying to set up a punch. And then some point in the second round, Kells kind of walks into a punch from Big Torbs and flatlines on the floor. It looks like he's out. It looks like he's completely out. I'm thinking, oh God, he's been knocked out. But he gets back up. He beats the count. He survives the round. He's okay. Goes out the next round and he's starting to outbox. He's starting to catch up and take over on Big Torbs. And then he lands a big one right on the chin. Big Torbs loses his legs. Doesn't know where he's at. He's out. He's knocked out. Big respect to Kells for coming back from a fatal knockdown, by the way. It looked like he was out. And he got back up. In his first fight, he had the ability to get back up from nearly a knockout and knock the opponent out. That is balls. And that is credit to Daly. It's credit to Kells. Massive respect. I even got a photo with Daly. And he told me, well, I'm not wearing a shirt, but I was wearing an Eminem shirt, and he people are taking photos with him, whatever. But when I go to take a photo with him, he taps us on his shoulder and goes, nice shirt. And I'm like, oh. It means so much from such a knowledgeable man, But anyway, respectful win. I think at some point both of these men deserve to run this back, because obviously Big Torbs did drop Kells. He could have stopped Kells, and unfortunately he got knocked out. So I think both these men can run this fight back. But it doesn't need to be immediate. I think Kells can up some opposition, take it to another level, especially training with Daly. This was his first fight. Imagine what he can do with more training. So then second on the kickoffs, we had the first round of the Stake Pro tournament. Idris Virgo versus Fez Batiste. Now, obviously, from the start, we knew Idris was going to win this fight. Far more skilled, far more experienced. Fez Batiste he just won't have it, Idris Virgo is a man who destroyed Anthony Taylor. A man who walked through Aaron Chalmers. A chiseled man. A very skilled man who trains in London shoot fighters. A very good fight club. They train Michael Venom Page, an incredible MMA fighter. They train Derek Chisora. Literally beat Joe Joyce. Or did they draw? I think I forgot what happened. Fought Tyson Fury, the KSI, arguably one of the best in the Influence I've seen. That's a big camp, and obviously we knew Idris was going to win that fight. It's very easy though. Way too easy. Way more easy than I thought it was going to be. Fez is quick. He's got decent skills, but he's not got power. He's not got that punch behind him, and I thought that would I thought he'd bring some of that out at least. Or I thought maybe a bit of his speed and his technique would save him a round or two, but no, goes in there first round. The body breaker, Idris Virgo, breaking down the body, drops him once, he gets back up, does it again, gets back up. I'm thinking, okay, it's done. Gets dropped a third time. Referee's counting him, referee allows him up, and I'm thinking, obviously not a 3 knockdown rule, but if I'm the referee, I'm looking at, that's just happened 3 times very easily. That's going to happen again. And Fez is getting up every time, and he's putting on a character, he's putting on a facade of like, yeah, come on, bring it, I'll take them all. He won't, but he's putting on that facade anyway, just to, because you've already embarrassingly lost in the first round, and I think he knows it at this point. So he's just seeing what moment he can get from the fight. At least he can get a bit of a moment where the crowd are a bit behind him, and he looks like he's battling through it, but he's really not. And Idris walks through him and stops him, so Idris is through to the next round in the co-main event. Show starts off Bad Boy Chiller Crew come out. Now, I don't think it was a bad move getting Bad Boy Chiller Crew out. I think obviously there's a trend here. Eminem on Terence Crawford card made it even bigger than it was. KSI on the doubling card sold it out on a pay-per-view. I think they're onto an idea of maybe bringing in a bit of musical performance can maybe incite people to come to the shows because then people can see some artists. So like Bad Boy Chiller Crew, I don't want to say they're cheap, but obviously like it's no KSI, it's no Eminem. I think probably a right move for a small card like Newcastle, but they're not. We couldn't hear them very well. The crowd, some of the crowd were behind them. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of the crowd wasn't moving, and I feel like they weren't really that bothered. They did about one or two songs, and then like this guy came up, did this weird skit. It was really weird, and then they just left. And then the main show kicked off. We had Chris Avila versus Benson Henderson, former UFC champion Benson Henderson. Chris Avila, who brought Nate Diaz to Newcastle, by the way. He brought Nate Diaz with him to Newcastle. He has done us a favour. So the crowd was behind Chris Avila because everyone knew. Because a lot of people in the Newcastle crowd aren't Misfits fans. They're casuals who just see there's a boxing event in Newcastle. We know Lewis Borden, we know El Brook. Let's just go to it, And they go to it, and they've heard Nate Diaz is there, and they're like, oh, I want to see it. And then they've heard this is Nate Diaz's friend, so now they're going to root for him. And honestly, I thought Chris Avila would do quite good against Benson Henderson because I heard, not that I know, I heard that Benson Henderson was a grappler in MMA. So I thought, oof, that's not going to end well because guess who else was a grappler? Ben Askren. Yeah, exactly. You get my point. Tyron Woodley, but he wasn't horrid. He wasn't horrible, really. But, and I'm thinking Chris Avila had to strike Jake Boschwick, who I thought Jake Boschwick would give Chris Avila a tough time. From my understanding, Chris Avila has beat Anthony Taylor. These are both people who throw heavy punches, and I'm thinking Benson Henderson's known for grappling. This ain't going good. If anything, it went in Benson Henderson's favour, because one thing about Chris Avila is he likes to keep it in tight, keep it in range, grapple, box dirty, flick out a backhand, flick out a Stockton slap. Doesn't necessarily hurt people, but he destroys them. And I think Benson Henderson, actually, I thought he would be a bad fit for Chris Avila. If anything, he was a good fit for Chris Avila because he was able to counter. He was able to be in that pocket and be comfortable. Plus, him being in the UFC, he's used to seeing things like people trying to grapple him and hit punches on the inside. That's where he thrived. So Benson Henderson made it difficult. But Benson and Chris Avila went the whole 5 rounds. And Benson Henderson got the win. I think the crowd cheered Benson after because I think Benson deserved that win. Then we go on to the next fight. I think the next fight was Carla Jade, Nikki Rue. Nikki Rue's the champ. She won the belt in her first fight against Alexia Grace. And I don't think Nikki Rue won that fight personally. I thought she did well. I thought obviously there's an argument to be made. But I thought Alexia Grace won that fight. And I felt more passionate about it because I thought Alexia Grace also beat Astrid Wet. Both very close fights. Both could have arguments made for the other winner. But I thought Alexia Grace won both fights. And it was sad to see Nikki Rue with the belt and not Alexia because she's had 2 shots at that belt. And I feel like she won both fights. And she's owed the belt, really. But anyway, she goes now with Carla Jade, who was seen had 1 fight. And I was rooting for Carla Jade because we'd seen Carla win fairly. And I feel like we hadn't seen that from Nikki. And if Nikki was to win, I wanted it to be emphatic. And I think Carla Jade deserved the belt because I want either Alexia to fight Carla for the belt or Alexia to rematch Nikki and the winner fight Carla for the belt. I think that's how it should go, Anyways, the next fight, what is the next fight? What am I missing? Was the next fight Lewis Borden? I think the next fight might have been Lewis Borden. No, they moved that up the card actually because they wanted obviously other fights to do. Because the new sort of how it would play out, So they had Ashley Raxu and Tristan Ham. Now looking at this, I thought this is a very good fight. Looking at the fight card before the event, I'm thinking Joey Knight, Low Cray is going to be the closest fight. Well, it turns out on fight night, Tristan Ham, Ashley Raxu was the closest fight. I thought Tristan has much better hands. He has much better power. And he's a much cleaner puncher than Ashley Raxu. And I thought he could do some damage to Raxu in that sense. But I thought Raxu was quicker, more technical. And he's a lot more paced. He's got an engine. So I thought this was going to be very interesting. Because both men are quite 50-50. And it really was 50-50. I mean, a lot of the fight was, Raxu jabbing him and keeping it range, but boxing well. And Raksu, he's moved to London shoot fighters and he's adapted a bit of that MVP KSI style where he's bouncing a bit and then he's moving and trying to blitz. Obviously, a lot of his shots weren't landing, but it was different because what we normally see from Ashley Raksu is some jabs and some body shots. This time we were seeing some crosses, some overhand rights. We were seeing some proper right hands coming in there, and that was a bit different. There was one point in the fight where obviously Tristan Arm was catching the odd right overhand that was landing clean and hurting Ashley Raksu every now and then. There was one point they were in the corner in a clinch. They were just coming out the clinch and Tristan Ham lands a beautiful right hand, and it literally you're seeing Raksu's chin do that. You're seeing it hurt. You're seeing him wobble, and it got to the end of 5 rounds. I'm thinking Ashley could have won this. It could have been a draw. It could have been a Tristan win. Honestly, if I was being a judge, personally, although I don't want to say it because I was rooting for Raksu, personally, I would have said Tristan nicked it. And I would say the reason for that is because he hurt Raksu. It was very 50-50. But what stands out to me when I think back to that fight is Tristan Ham rocking Ashley Raksu. So I would say Tristan won it, but Ashley Raksu got the decision. I'm not entirely mad at it because he did box very smart. He was boxing smarter than Tristan Ham and he was pushing the pace. He was moving around the ring, making Tristan chase him and then countering some shots or defending himself and moving out of the way and slipping shots. So I can see why they've done that. I can see why they've give Ashley Raksu the decision. If I was a judge, I probably would have just gave it to Tristan, but I wouldn't be mad. That one definitely needs running back. If a fight's ever needed running back, that one needs running back. So then we had Lewis Borden versus George Stokey. Now, obviously, I knew Lewis Borden was from around here, and I knew he'd get a bit of a pop, for it. But I did not expect this crowd reaction because when I went last year, Aaron Chalmers Edges Virgo, decent main event. Aaron Chalmers is a proper Geordie, and he's got a decent fan base. He's got women as fan base, a decent female fan base because he was on Geordie's show. Plus, on that show, they had like FaZe Temper, they had Ashley Raksu was on that. They had Gabriel Silva, they had some decent names, but I feel like this year, obviously, the crowd was a lot better this year. The noise was impeccable honestly, when Lewis Borden came out, watch my vlog, because in there, the crowd, the video doesn't even do it justice. In the video, it's loud. When you're there in person, my ears were ringing. People were that loud for Lewis Borden. And, fight starts, and 5 rounds, by the way. I thought, wait, no, was it? I think it was 4, actually, never mind. But 4, I'm thinking 3 rounds, they're sitting there the whole time calling themselves novices, because obviously they've never had a fight. And I'm thinking they're not really in the best shape, they're not got the best technique. They're gassed by round 2. No, they went 4 rounds. Neither man got hurt, neither man got put down, no knockout, nothing. But Lewis Borden dominated the fight, put the pressure on George Stokey, hit him a lot more clean than George could hit him. Crowd was electric for it. And then that moment where they announced Lewis Borden as the winner, oh my God, the crowd was elite. I moved down, so I was trying to get some photos with some people, because there was some very cool people there that I got photos with, which I'll get to at the very end. But despite that crowd reaction and everything, right, it was a decent performance for a first fight, right? But obviously it wasn't the most technical, wasn't the most anything. It was just, crowd reaction was beautiful. Now, Misfits awarded Lewis Borden Fighter of the Night for that. And I'm sitting here thinking, how? Just because of crowd reaction. Because he did well in the fight, don't get me wrong, for a first fight to go 4 rounds and keep your gas tank going with such an electric crowd and all the pressure on you like that. Fantastic. But I'm just saying, Idris Virgo fought twice that night. Just saying. So I think Idris Virgo is owed a Fighter of the Night. Anyways, next fight, Joey Knight, Low Cray Cray, and I'm thinking this is the closest fight of them all. I'm thinking I'm rooting so badly for Joey Knight, and in my video I screamed so loud because True Geordie comes in the ring. Oh, he's literally my hero. I went over round the ring and shouted his name. I shouted Brian, and then because he was just taking a break from his commentary, and then he saw us, and I put my thumbs up, waved my hand at him, and he looked at us from the side. It was I need to show you this. It was the coolest, most badass thing you've ever seen. He's walking, right? Him and all his big muscles and tattoos, yeah, he goes. And I'm like, oh, what? So when True Jody's getting up there, like, announcing Joy Knight, I'm losing my shit. Because I'm there for Joy Knight as well, don't get me wrong. I want to see him win this tournament. And I watch him on the Pain Game when they're doing their broadcasts, to the Crawford fight, to the Wilder fight, to any Tyson Fury fight back when they were sitting in True Jody's studio. Now, obviously, they're big time and they're sitting in Riyadh season arenas and stadiums, you know. But I'm sitting there rooting for Joy Knight. And obviously, I'm sitting there the whole time worrying because I'm like, I know Lil Cray Cray is not no most wanted. He's not no baby Hulk. He's not going to go down easily. One, because he's not going to let himself get hit easily. And I don't think he will go down easily. And Joy Knight goes in there with the same hands down tactic. And Lil Cray Cray's quick. He's landing jabs. Joey's getting into range. And Cray Cray's still kind of winning in range. And I'd say Cray Cray won most of the rounds for the first 4 rounds. And it was quite hard to watch. It was, don't get me wrong, it was close. Joy Knight was fighting back. Joy Knight was hitting some clean shots. He was a lot more clean in that ring, you know. He was doing his whole Ben Whittaker kind of. Obviously, it's not just Ben Whittaker, but Ben Whittaker, Prince Nassim kind of dancing around in there kind of thing. But he was losing the fight. The 5th round was Joy's best night. In the 5th round, Lil Cray Cray didn't do a lot. I think he was just kind of accepting he's probably won the fight. And Joy is going in on Lil Cray Cray. He's hitting the best shots I've ever seen from that whole night. But then it comes, and I'm thinking maybe they can, you know, if Ashley Waxu beat Tristan Ham, maybe Joy Knight can beat Lil Cray Cray, but obviously it was Lil Cray Cray who won. And I'm devastated, but it is what it is, you know. It just means we have to get Lil Cray Cray versus Yuri Gang for the final time, 3rd time, technically only the 2nd because the first fight didn't finish, but basically the 3rd time in the final. I think it's probably right because, you know, Lil Cray Cray was winning that first fight. Then Yuri Gang, when they rematched, Yuri Gang actually won. So I think Lil Cray Cray probably wants that rematch with Yuri Gang. But at the same time, Cray Cray, after having a cancelled fight in the first round, has his first round fight against Yuri Gang, loses. When an opponent pulls out, Cray Cray, after there's so many lightweight contenders, and Cray Cray's put in on short notice to fight Ace Musa, and Ace Musa has to put up with Cray Cray on short notice. And then he wins his 3rd fight in the first round, and he finally wins. He gets put in the semis, and then he beats my hero in the semis, and he's going against Yuri Gang again in the finals. So I'm rooting for Yuri Gang now because I want to see Yuri Gang versus Dina Grape because I want to see their styles clash. You know, Dean's very come forward. Well, no, Dean's very wait. He doesn't wait. He'll come forward on the counter, but Lil Cray Cray kind of stays in his little stance and then waits for you to move, and then he'll hit you. So that's a very interesting fight. So I want to see Yuri Gang beat Cray Cray. In terms of Joy Knight, where to go from here? Get more fights. Honestly, I don't want to say it because this loss. That's all I want to see of losses for Joy Knight. Get some exciting fights, make them happen. And I've realised I forgot to say what I think all the other fighters should do. I think Ashley Waxu and Tristan Ham need to run it back, but Ashley Waxu has so many fights he needs to run back, like OJ Rose, Anthony Taylor, King Ket. Well, he doesn't need to run back like Anthony Taylor. Anthony Taylor clearly beat him, but he wants that fight. So Anthony Taylor, King Kenny, and he said he wants to fight ATG for beating Miles Waxu. I completely agree. Obviously, Tristan Ham, I think, just needs to rematch Waxu. He fairly beat Logan Paul, and he wasn't a match for Le'Veon Bell, so I think Waxu rematch is the perfect thing for Tristan Ham to go for. Lewis Borden in his next fight, he called out Bevo. I mean, not really exciting, but go on then. Knock out Bevo. And then get... I think for Lewis Borden, he shouldn't take it serious and take on serious opponents. I think what Lewis Borden should do is go after the character a bit, you know, go after someone who will build a good storyline, not necessarily a good boxer. Anyways, next fight, Julie Porker versus Crystal Pittman. Crystal Pittman's a BKFC fighter. Julie Porker, obviously we know Julie Porker. I feel like this was probably just another fight. Not an easy fight for Julie Porker, but easy enough in the sense that Misfits were comfortable knowing that Julie would defend and win because she's beat Alina Vampira, who I think was the best in the scene, but obviously Julie's beat her. Julie's beat Elle, Alina, and Barbie, the 3 best women in the scene. So Crystal Pittman was just another one of those. And Crystal Pittman's quite old as well. Well, she looks it anyway. And she came in there with a dodgy knee, which we didn't know she had. So, and she went down because of her dodgy knee, and the ref started counting her. And yeah, sad to say, but obviously, well, it's not sad to say, but it just wasn't that special. This was the fight I was the least bothered for. I just wasn't excited for it. So Julie Porker got the win. Regardless, Slim said he was going to make his announcement on what MMA fighter he was going to fight before the main event. So I'm going down because we haven't had the co-main event yet, and then Slim's in the ring with KSI and everyone. And I'm like, what's going on? And obviously KSI sat there next to Slim after he's had a cancelled fight with Slim. And he's saying, yeah, I'm interested to see what Slim's doing next. I'm like, oh, they're going to announce KSI versus Slim. But no, I'm thinking, no, they said a massive UFC fighter, MMA fighter. I'm thinking Nate Diaz is here, could be Nate Diaz. Tyron Woodley would be good. And then they went, oh, same age and stuff. I'm like, And then and then he calls out his opponent and says, "Come out, opponent, please come out." Then they play Here Comes the Money by Shane McMahon. And I'm like, oh, not by Shane McMahon, but Shane McMahon's theme. Obviously they've still got the graphics of Idris Virgo, Benson Henson on the screen. So Idris Virgo's on the screen. I'm like, is he fighting fucking Idris? What? But obviously not. No. Then someone walks out in white, and I see him. I'm like, that's fucking Gib. It's Gib. And his son Gib is walking his way down the ring. I screamed so loud. Slim versus Gib. This is the second best fight to KSI Jake Paul. We have waited so goddamn long for this fight, and I cannot believe it's actually happening. First, literally 2 weeks ago, we had Jay Swingler, my favourite YouTuber, Jay Swingler, return and say, I'm back in boxing and I want to rematch Nick Lamau. There's nothing I love more than seeing my favourite YouTubers and favourite people, seeing them return to something that they were good at that they haven't been at in a while, and then seeing them do something that we thought either wouldn't happen or they should happen. Jay Swingler, I'm glad to see back in the scene. And when fights are too close, I hate that. I want a definitive winner. Obviously, I don't mind rematches, but I want a definitive winner. So I always thought Jay and Nick need to run that back, but I didn't think it would actually happen. And it is happening. And then Gib, oh, I love Gib. Gib is amazing, especially for the YouTube boxing scene. One of the best content creators in the YouTube boxing scene. But I thought Gib versus Slim, there's no way that's actually happened. And it is. I lost my shit. Anyway, in the co-main event, Idris knocked out Fez Batista, and he's fighting Benson Henson, who beat Chris Villa. What I'm thinking immediately going into this fight is, okay, first of all, Idris, come forward fighter. That's not what Chris Villa was. That's the opposite to what Chris Villa was. Don't know how Benson Henson can take that, because Idris so much quicker than Chris, so much heavy hitting than Chris, just so much more everything than Chris, realistically. Not that he's better than Chris, but he's completely opposite, right? I'm thinking, I don't know how Benson's going to handle that. Plus, this fight is 5 rounds. Idris took out Fez in 1 round. Idris didn't even go 3 minutes. Benson Henson went a full 5 rounds. He went 15 minutes. Idris has to have a lot on him. And they went the whole 5 rounds again. And Benson didn't do bad at defending himself. He shut down a lot of Idris's attacks. He made it hard for Idris to come forward. He was clinching him, throwing him up against ropes. But I think Idris was doing a better job. He was landing shots. There was some shots where people behind me, people next to me, were all sitting there going, how is Benson Henson still on his feet? Idris is hitting big shots, and Benson Henson looks like he's not even hurt. It looks like Idris is hitting with pillows, but he's not. Those are heavy hands. You can literally hear them. End of the day, Idris gets a win. Idris wins the belt. I think this is an obvious... I think it was kind of set up for Idris to win. Not for it to be easy. I think Fez was to be easy. But I feel like it was just kind of made to give Idris a fight. And obviously they're saying Idris doesn't have a fight. He's sitting there saying I'll fight Nate Diaz. That could potentially happen. That would be cool. He's saying he'd fight Darren Till. That would be cool, okay. But he says he wants Tommy Fury, and I think Tommy Fury makes sense. Tommy Fury's sitting here fighting KSI Jake Paul. He's not really doing any pro boxing. I think Idris Virgo makes sense. If they can get it on a Misfits card, Tommy Fury will sell it himself. It just doesn't need to. But Idris has got the belt. That's all you need. Tommy Fury versus a champion. That's all you need, and you'll sell it. Make it happen in the same goddamn way. They've literally scrapped in a crowd. They've got beef. They've got a story. Make it happen. As for Benson Henson, he is not bad. Get him against someone. Just anyone. Get him against anyone. High caliber opponent. He'll shut him down. Watch. Then the main event was Elbrook, Jenny Savage. We expected Elbrook to win this one. Not sure if we're expecting a knock out, but Elbrook did 5 rounds of walking her down in the corner, jabs, rights, putting the work in, just completely outboxing her. Good win. Obviously, it was meant to be Paige Van Zandt, but it's fine. They're saying they're going to do the Paige Van Zandt rematch. Can't wait for that, because I think Elbrook's going to win that one. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.